Emily Harris was a 27-year-old teacher from Ohio who dreamed of adventure, but when she traveled to Dubai, her glamorous post suddenly stopped, and 4 weeks later police uncovered chilling truth buried in the desert. Emily Harris was 27 years old and lived in a quiet suburb in Ohio, where her days followed a predictable routine. She woke early, prepared lesson plans, and spent long hours at the middle school where she taught English. Her students adored her patience and humor, but Emily often felt her own life was stuck in place. A recent breakup had left her shaken, and the monotony of small-town life felt heavier with each passing week. She longed for change, something that would make her feel alive again. That's when an old college friend reached out online. The friend was living in Dubai, posting glamorous photos of beaches, glittering skyscrapers, and rooftop dinners. The invitation to visit came casually, but for Emily it felt like destiny. She saw the trip as a chance to escape heartbreak, rediscover herself, and live the kind of adventure she had only read about in travel blogs. When she told her parents about her plans, they were nervous but supportive, trusting Emily's independence. She assured them it was just a 2-week vacation and promised to check in often. Arriving in Dubai was like stepping into another world. The heat, the luxury cars on every corner, the towering Burj Khalifa, all of it fascinated her. Emily shared her excitement on social media, posting snapshots of desert safaris, poolside afternoons, and expensive dinners. To friends back home, it looked like she was thriving, smiling wider than she had in months. But behind the perfect images, Emily was also searching for something deeper. She wasn't just sightseeing. She was testing the waters of a new lifestyle. At first, it seemed harmless. Then, almost without noticing, she began drifting into a world far removed from the life she had left behind in Ohio. At first, Emily's silence didn't alarm anyone. Friends assumed she was too busy enjoying herself, and her parents believed the time difference and packed schedule explained the lack of calls. But as the days stretched into weeks, small details began to raise concern. Emily had promised her mother she would send daily updates, yet her messages became irregular, often short and vague. Her last photo, showing her on a rooftop overlooking Dubai's skyline, appeared polished but oddly distant, as if it had been staged. After that, there was nothing. Her colleagues back in Ohio noticed her absence when she failed to return for the start of the new school term. Emily had always been responsible, never missing work without notice. The school tried reaching her by phone, but every attempt ended in silence. Emails went unanswered, and her social media activity froze completely. Alarm grew when even her closest friends admitted they hadn't heard her voice in weeks. The family's initial patience turned into fear. Finally, after 4 weeks of no contact, Emily's parents filed a missing person report. The case was complicated from the beginning because of jurisdiction. While U.S. authorities could gather background information, the real investigation would rely on Dubai police. Officials began piecing together her last known movements through her social media trail. Photos were geotagged near luxury hotels, upscale malls, and restaurants. Investigators tracked her credit card usage, noting purchases at designer stores and high-end clubs that didn't match her modest teacher salary. As Dubai police dug deeper, contradictions surfaced. Emily had told her family she was staying with her college friend, but hotel records suggested otherwise. She appeared to be moving through the city, with people no one in Ohio had ever heard of. The cheerful vacation image began to crumble, revealing a mystery far more troubling than her family could have imagined. As investigators followed Emily's trail, they realized her story in Dubai was very different from the one she had shared with her family. Instead of staying with her college friend as she claimed, Emily had been renting a luxury apartment in a sleek downtown tower. Surveillance cameras revealed her coming and going with a man who was much older, always dressed in tailored suits and driving high-end cars. He was identified as Khalid Rahman, a wealthy businessman with connections to clubs and nightlife, someone well known in the city's underground social circles. Emily's lifestyle also raised questions. Bank records showed extravagant purchases, designer handbags, expensive jewelry, and fine dining bills that didn't match the salary of a middle school teacher. Her credit cards alone couldn't explain it, leading police to suspect she was being funded by Khalid. Friends back home were stunned as investigators shared these findings, unable to reconcile the responsible teacher they knew with the lavish life she had stepped into abroad. Digging deeper into Khalid's past, authorities uncovered disturbing patterns. He had been linked to multiple lawsuits that mysteriously vanished before trial. Several women had accused him of aggressive behavior, yet none of the cases led to convictions. His reputation carried a mix of glamour and menace, someone powerful enough to avoid consequences. For Emily, the attraction seemed to be more than just money. Investigators believed she was drawn into his world of luxury and influence, caught between fascination and danger. Security footage showed her smiling beside him in clubs and entering his apartment late at night, but the same footage also revealed moments where she appeared uneasy, avoiding eye contact or moving quickly behind him. This dual life painted Emily not only as a traveler seeking fun, but as someone standing dangerously close to a man with a dark history. The night of Emily's disappearance became the center of the investigation. According to witnesses, she attended an exclusive party at a private marina, a gathering reserved for the wealthy and their guests. She was seen laughing, drinking, and mingling among people she barely knew. Several attendees recalled her appearing increasingly intoxicated as the evening progressed. Surveillance footage confirmed she left the event after midnight, accompanied by Khalid. They were seen walking together toward his luxury vehicle, and that was the last time Emily was captured on camera alive. When questioned, Khalid insisted that Emily had left in a taxi after an argument, but no evidence supported his claim. Police scoured transportation records and interviewed drivers, yet none matched his story. His account began to unravel further when forensics teams searched his apartment. Small but telling traces of Emily's DNA were discovered, along with faint bloodstains on a carpet that had recently been cleaned. Despite this, her personal belongings, passport, phone, and luggage were nowhere to be found. It was as though she had vanished without leaving a trace. Investigators widened their scope, examining Khalid's financial transactions. They uncovered cash withdrawals and fuel receipts on the night of Emily's disappearance. His car's tracking data showed unusual movement toward the desert in the early hours of the morning, before returning to the city just before sunrise. These findings contradicted his repeated denials and pointed towards something sinister. For the first time, police confronted the possibility that Emily's death was not an accident or a disappearance, but a carefully concealed crime. The cheerful images of her vacation, once symbols of freedom, now took on an eerie weight. They marked the countdown to a night when she stepped into a world from which she would never return. The break in the case came weeks later when hikers exploring the desert outskirts of Dubai stumbled upon something unusual. A mound of disturbed sand caught their attention, and curiosity led them closer. Beneath the surface, wrapped tightly in layers of plastic, were human remains. Authorities were called immediately, and forensic teams began their grim work. Within days, DNA testing confirmed what Emily's family had feared most. The body was hers. The discovery painted a chilling picture of her final moments. The autopsy revealed blunt force trauma as the cause of death, injuries consistent with a violent struggle. The plastic wrapping and shallow grave suggested deliberate concealment, a hurried attempt to erase evidence. Investigators connected the timeline to the night of the marina party, the same night Khalid claimed Emily had left in a taxi. His carefully constructed story collapsed under the weight of hard proof. Police quickly linked him to the scene. GPS data from his luxury car showed he had traveled to the desert that night, lingering near the exact area where Emily's body was buried before returning to the city. Traces of sand from that region were later found embedded in the tires of his vehicle, further tightening the case. Khalid was arrested and charged with murder, though he continued to proclaim his innocence. His lawyers argued Emily might have left with someone else, but the evidence was overwhelming. The city's glamorous image clashed with the stark reality of a young woman's life brutally cut short. For Emily's family back in Ohio, the news was devastating. Their daughter's dream trip had ended in tragedy, and the discovery in the desert closed the door on all hopes she might still be alive. The search was over, but the fight for justice had only begun. Emily's death sent shockwaves through her small Ohio town. The teacher who had once inspired children with her energy and kindness was now remembered in candlelight vigils and memorial services. Students placed handwritten notes and flowers outside her classroom door, struggling to understand how someone so full of life could meet such a violent end. For her family, the grief was compounded by distance. They had to navigate international legal systems while trying to bring Emily home for a proper burial. When her body finally returned to Ohio, the community came together to honor her, but the unanswered questions weighed heavily on everyone. The trial in Dubai drew international attention. Khalid's wealth and influence initially cast doubt on whether justice would be served. His defense team attempted to discredit evidence, suggesting alternate scenarios and insisting there was no direct proof of his involvement. But the GPS data, the forensic traces in his apartment, and the desert grave all pointed back to him. Witnesses testified about his volatile temper, and investigators laid out a pattern of behavior that revealed a dangerous man hidden behind a polished image. Years passed as legal appeals dragged on, leaving Emily's family in limbo. While Khalid eventually faced conviction, the process was slow, and the outcome never erased the pain of their loss. Emily's story became a cautionary tale, a reminder of how quickly a dream can unravel when trust is placed in the wrong hands. Her name was later used in campaigns promoting safety for travelers abroad, urging young people to remain cautious despite the allure of luxury and adventure. For those who knew her personally, she remained more than a headline. She was a daughter, a sister, a teacher, and a reminder how fragile life can be when hidden dangers lurk behind glittering lights.